Hello, everybody. I took a little time off, and it was much needed reprieve. I got to spend some extra time with my kids. I got to do some new marketing. I got to rebrand the pod a little bit, but I am glad to be back. We're going to be back bigger and better than ever. In this episode, I speak with my new friend, MMA Bantamweight fighter, Jose Hernandez. He has fought for LFA. He has fought for Dynasty Combat Sports. He holds the Bantamweight title for FAC based out of Kansas City. He's got a great story, and he is fighting next August 9th, 2024 for Dynasty Combat Sports in a fight that has a little bit of a revenge story to it. We'll get to it in this episode. I can't wait for you to listen to it. It's a good one to kick things back off for Caught on the Mic. Thanks for being here. I hope you enjoy it. As always, listener and viewer discretion is advised. Ladies and gentlemen, I have taken a few weeks off from podcasting, and I'm super excited to be back with an MMA episode right from the gate. I am speaking with my new friend, Jose Hernandez. He is a bantamweight fighter based out of Kearney, Nebraska. His next fight is August 9th in Omaha, Nebraska at Liberty First Credit Union Arena for Dynasty Combat Sports. I'm super excited about it. Things were hot, intense when he got faced off against his opponent at the last event. It was a lot of excitement. Jose, how the heck are you, man?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on, man. Doing good.
Oh, thanks for doing it, man. Henry kind of mentioned to me, he brought your name up and he said you'd be a fantastic guest.
Yeah.
So I kind of started perusing your history, your Tapology page, kind of looked at some clips online, and I'm like, hell yeah, connect us.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So without any further ado, man, why don't you introduce yourself and let's talk about your origin story.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Jose Hernandez, they call me Nano. I've been called Nano since I was a little kid. I got into fighting when I was 21 is when I started in Kearney, Nebraska. And I joined it just so I could lose weight. I was a chubby dude. I was lifting a lot, but I was just a chubby guy. And one of my friends, his name is Joey Munoz. He's been fighting for a long time, and he's like, dude, just come to the gym. I'm like, all right. You know, after saying no so many times, I was like, yeah, I'll come by. And yeah, it was like probably 6 months into it or so, and my coach was just telling me that there's a possible fight in the hometown. It was going to be in Mitchell, Nebraska, I guess, but it was for Scotts Bluff. And he's like, do you want to do it? I'm like, yeah, sure, why not? You know, whatever. Fought, I lost, but I loved it. Man, I was addicted. I love that feeling of being in there and that rush and people cheering. It's so cool. But yeah, I came to Kearney and I've been living here since 2016. I took like a 2-year break, but you know, I ran into Richard Barajas, my coach and the owner of Kearney Combat Sports. I ran into him and it's been, you know, game changing. The guy is obsessed with MMA, and his coaching and stuff just reflects that. You see it, all the fighters come out of Kearney Combat Sports, and you know, we're known for putting out some talent. So yeah, just try to come back now.
Nice. So it's funny you mentioned that your very first fight was a loss, and I think not a lot of people understand that most fighters don't learn anything from winning all the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
They learn the most from that first loss.
Yep,
and having that right out of the gate, how did that redefine you? Because you said you were still addicted to the sport even after that. So how did that redefine you personally and kind of change your trajectory as far as what you wanted to do as being a fighter?
Yeah, so, you know, I've always been pretty humble in any kind of sport that I did, but even more so, like it really humbled me, and I just couldn't stay out of the gym. So right after the loss, I was just right back into the gym. I think like that next Monday, you know, and I ended up training by myself pretty much because I couldn't find a gym. from my first fight to my second fight, I was just nonstop in the gym, just watching videos, trying to, learn from that. And then I finally found Rich, and he kind of just fed into that hunger, and it just took off from there. My second fight, I got a knockout, and yeah, he's just putting in the work. I was never really overly talented guy. I was never, I was always average with everything that I did. But with this, I feel like this is the best thing that I could do right now.
I love that, man. I love that. And a little known fact that you didn't mention yet is you're also now an instructor and a coach for youth wrestling as well through Kearney Combat Sports. How has that changed your trajectory?
Well, it gives me more goals. Like before, it was getting to the UFC, the basic, cliche. I got to get to the UFC. I want to be a UFC champion. Well, now I want to make UFC champions. I want to make, national titles, and, with kids and stuff like that. Those kids are awesome, and I look forward to practice every day. Like I could have the worst day, and those kids just, man, they bring the best out of you. So yeah, I guess just my purpose in life, it's changed that.
That's fantastic, and that's something you and I share a kinship with. I know for my day job, which I never talk about on the show, people ask me what my purpose is in my day job, and my response generally is to create future leaders for my company. It's not to train people for the job that they've got. It's training them for the next job down the line.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're in that job because you've already done all the skill sets and executed all the skill sets you needed to get that job. My goal is to train you for the next step. So I love the fact that we kind of share that mindset.
Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome.
Yeah. So you've had the privilege of fighting for LFA. You hold the Bantamweight title for FAC based out of Kansas City. You fought with Dynasty Combat Sports. You mentioned the UFC. What is the pathway to the UFC or a PFL or a Bellator look like for you?
It's just climbing the ladder. I would say it's every fight, I just take it as a stepping stone. I don't really think of it as, how would you say, like, I don't think of it as like a make it or break it, like my last fight for LFA and my last fight in general was for LFA, and, it was the main event in LFA on UFC Fight Pass, and yeah, I lost, but, fighting in that kind of stage, it was just another stepping stone, and that's all I got to keep doing is just climbing the ladder as fast as I can, I guess, but if it's going to take time, just keep waiting, keep working.
That brings up a good point, because we talked about lessons learned from losses, but when you're looking at things on paper, how important are wins and losses when you're trying to forge that pathway to a major promotion and a contract with a major promotion? Do you think they matter as much as being entertaining and being somebody that a crowd can engage with?
I definitely think it matters. I mean, you look at the UFC roster and you see the main events or just the main card. There's not that many losses on that side. Like 20-5 or something. There's not that many losses. So, and just in general, even the prelims and stuff, there's a bunch of guys that are 8-0, 10-0, 7-1, all this kind of that. So they definitely want to hire the individuals with, the best accolades. So losses are super important, but I mean, if you can make a fight pretty entertaining, I don't see why someone wouldn't want to sign that. And that's what I always want to win, obviously, but if I can't win, you're going to have to put me to sleep to quit, because I'm not going out like that.
That's awesome. So who are some fighters that inspire you? Who are some guys that you like to watch that kind of fuel your momentum? Because obviously, if you're really aggressive in pursuing your fight career, you're obviously a fight fan yourself as well.
Yeah.
So who are some people that you keep your eyes on that say, I can kind of learn from what their trajectory was like?
Well, when I first started fighting, and it's even now, he doesn't fight anymore, but it was BJ Penn. BJ Penn, I was obsessed with that guy. And, I was a chubbier guy when I first started too. And I would always tell my coach, I'm like, I don't need abs to be, keeping up with these guys. Like, I'm fine. And he's like, but look at the best athletes. I'm like, look at BJ Penn. I'm like, he's got it right now. But yeah, I've always been a fan of him and just his mentality. It was just a fierce mentality. Like he was a dog. Later on the line, I fell in love with Dominic Cruz's footwork and the way he throws and stuff like that. And TJ Dillashaw, he's up there too. But right now, I would say, Max Holloway is probably one of my favorites. That guy just has a good attitude. Win or lose, he's got a great attitude.
It's funny you say that because I was thinking about that. I was walking around the other day at work and I was thinking, who are my favorite fighters currently? And I could name three, and it's Max Holloway, Dustin Poirier, and Justin Gaethje.
I knew you were going to say those, yeah. It's hard not to like them.
Right, absolutely. Win or lose, they win gracefully, they lose gracefully, and they always put on very entertaining fights.
Very entertaining, yeah.
And there's hardly any controversy that surround them either.
Yeah, absolutely. And everyone knows about them. Why? Just because they don't have the best records right now.
No.
They've lost a few, and everyone, when they're fighting, you're tuning in. Like you're watching that. You're gonna spend your Saturday night doing that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So have you had the privilege of interacting with somebody that's had a major contract in the UFC that has maybe kind of changed your mentality on how you want to pursue your career?
Not necessarily. I mean, I do want to fight for LFA a lot more.
Yeah.
I really do like it, and my friend and old training partner, Richie Miranda, he's kind of blowing up right now, and he's been fighting for LFA for a while, and man, I try to follow in those footsteps too. I brought him out to, his first fight. He never mentions me in a podcast, so I always got to call him out on that, but I'll mention him. I got him into his first fight pretty much, and he took off when I took my 2 years off. He took off, and I just saw it. I'm like, yeah, I gotta get back in there.
Yeah.
This guy's doing it right.
Yes. I bring it up several times and through several episodes of my show about why some of my favorite guests are fighters, because I interview all walks of life, right? I've had musicians, I've had paranormal experts, I've had actors, actresses, but I always circle back to MMA. And it's pretty much the only sport that I focus on my show. And that's because I love the fighter's journey. I love the fighter's story. What is it that you feel defines a fighter and a fighter's story more than an average Joe?
I would say like the things that we're willing to sacrifice. I sacrificed a lot of time away from my family. I used to visit them once or twice a month, and right now it's been like once or twice every 3 or 4 months, every 6 months. And I'm a big family person. I got nieces and nephews that are in wrestling, so I always want to be there and help them through that kind of stuff. And so I would say sacrifice is like the biggest difference. Like there's a lot of people out there that won't even sacrifice like a day off from the lifting weights, to go, or sacrifice, hanging out with your girlfriend to go lift weights, So for me, yeah, I've pretty much given everything I have in this sport, and there's not a lot of people that can say that.
I agree with that. I think when you look at everything from a pragmatic perspective, you look at things like weight cut, diet, training to fight, keeping your physical conditioning going.
Yeah.
It is a full-time job in and of itself. how has your fighting career, if you don't mind me asking, impacted your personal life outside of just not seeing your family?
Well, so I knew I was always okay. So to start this off, I knew I was always a pretty talented, fighter from the get go. As I started, catching on to things pretty quick, and I was always drinking though. Like after the fights, I'd be drinking and just getting messed up all night. And then I was a dangerous fighter, and no one wanted to fight me then, really. And I guess I've been sober. I'm gonna go on about 3 years now, ever since I started back up and got my diet in check. And so then I was a dangerous fighter. Now, like everyone's catching like a healthy, ready to go, always in shape, Jose, and they're not gonna like it.
What's funny is I've had this conversation with a lot of my friends, and of course, we're a little bit older. We have teenagers now, and we talk about how teenagers don't do the same things now that we
Yeah.
used to do. Like I've
Oh,
got
no.
I've got teenage girls, and I'm dreadfully fearful that they're going to be out at parties drinking
I
and
bet. Yeah.
this is going on and that's going on. But what's funny is I talk to them and I probe them, and I'm a smart enough guy, man. There's nothing that you're going to tell me that you've done that I haven't done myself.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
I find out that they're at their friend's house making fucking slime on a Friday night whenever when we would have been out in the cornfields drinking and getting crazy, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I say all of that because I do feel that society at large is moving towards a healthier lifestyle, and things like, alcohol and such are kind of becoming secondary. So overall, is that something you're noticing more and more of in the fight world?
Uh, yeah, I think so. And one thing that I'm seeing a lot more of too is a lot of fighters are, you know, being open about being sober and stuff like that. And so you see these younger athletes, and they want to be like them, and they want everything that they have, and obviously they have to, they start seeing that they have to sacrifice their party nights and all that kind of thing, like. So yeah, I definitely think, yeah, it's changing.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And there's a lot of psychological correlation now between just general alcohol consumption. It's not even a matter of alcoholism, and things like anxiety and sleep deprivation and long-term psychological disorders, which are just kind of like obvious things. But even with my own health journey, I think the last time I really drank socially at all was like 2018, and it
Oh,
was,
jeez,
yeah,
that's awesome.
and it's not because I had any sort of addiction or any kind of hangups, but it kind of falls in line with what you were saying. It's like getting a better focus on your life, you know?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, my life has done a complete flip. Like I went home just this past weekend and got to see a bunch of my friends and stuff like that, or old friends, and people don't even recognize me anymore. Like I just don't look the same, like the same person. And I'm like, good. Like that dude's in the past, and don't ever bring him up. And that guy was a bad person. I never want to be like that.
Love it. Love it. So let's talk about this fight August 9th. As I mentioned in the intro, there was a pretty heated face-off at the last Dynasty Combat Sports event between you and Ashton Caniglia. And I even asked you, how legit is this beef, and what does it stem from? Let's talk about it.
Yeah, it's pretty legit. Yeah, so we had that face off, and like usually we get pretty close and stuff, so I'll make it look good for the pictures. I was like, I'm not gonna do anything, whatever, and it got super close, and I ain't like that. Sorry, Ashton. I don't know if you're like that, dude, but I'm not for that another guy. So had to get him out of my face. And yeah, I was pretty pissed about the whole, I need him in the face when he was down. He was going in for a shot, and he complained, and wrote his email, and he took my win away. So now I'm 4-2-1, and I hate seeing that one no contest. And yeah, so yeah, pretty legit, I would say.
So that happened, what, October 2023 when that happened? It happened in Kearney, didn't it?
Yeah.
So just for my listeners' clarity, let's kind of backtrack a little bit and let's talk about that fight and kind of what led to that, just to clarify exactly what happened with Ashton at that last fight.
Yeah, for sure. Well, first round, he was trying to do what he was always trying to do to everybody, trying to hold him on the cage and whatnot. And, me just working through it, trying to figure out the solution of whatever he's trying to do. And I thought I was piecing him up pretty good. He got me with one slam, couldn't hold me down. And at the end of the first round, it was still about to start getting pretty ugly, I thought. And so I kind of coasted a little bit, and, I was just trying to get a feel for what his next move was, right? And second round, I was just like, all right, I got to put this dude out. So I thought it was pretty favored my side to his side, and I hit him with the left uppercut and then a right hook, and that dropped him, and he started going down, and then he was going to dive at my legs to take a shot, and I was already throwing my knee because I thought he was going to get off his knees to shoot. And no, he stayed on that one knee. I hit him, and the ref didn't pull me off. I mounted him, and I just started finishing him.
So in short, the night of the fight, you got the win, but that win was contested and taken away and marked as a no contest on your record now.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. So he wrote an email, and they ended up overturning it. And I was just looking at my stats one day, and I just saw it said no contest, and I was like, because it used to say 5-2 or 5-1 at the time.
So they didn't even notify you that they were changing your record. You had to find that out from a stat sheet.
Yeah. And I was just literally just Googling my name, and I know, pretty vain to Google your own name, but
I do it all the time, bro.
But I had seen it before because I wanted to see the 5-1, and it had, when it first came up, it said 5-1. And then I looked at it, I don't know, maybe a few weeks later, just to see where my rankings were, and there was 4-1 at the time, I think it was. And yeah, that got me pretty heated. And I sent it to my coach, and he's like, "Are you kidding me?" He's like, "There's no way." I'm like, so yeah, I mean, I didn't even know.
So did you have any, I don't want to use the word fears, but did you have any fears that he wouldn't want to do a rematch because of that challenge?
No. I mean, like I said before, everything's just been a stepping stone.
Right.
So if the stars aligned and that was going to happen, yeah, let's do it.
Right.
I called him out on social media about him being a big baby pretty much, and complaining about it. But, after I was like, you know what, if he doesn't want to take it, then, that's on him. He's, his word against my word of who won that fight. You just watch the video,
Yeah.
So if I was going to move past it, then we move past it. But after that last fight, they offered me this one, and I was like, yeah, I think that's no question. Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that gives people a little bit of a backstory to help them look forward to the August 9th event at Liberty First Credit Union Arena in Omaha, Nebraska for Dynasty Combat Sports. See what I did there? I did that little plug for the whole thing.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Sneaky.
What can fans expect by coming to see you fight that night?
Well, to be honest, I'm just going to do the same thing, but just a lot worse and a lot faster. And I want to put a stamp on it and make sure no one has any question about who's better. Because in my eyes, this guy shouldn't even be in the same rankings. I mean, he shouldn't even be on my path anymore. I should be past him. and he just jumped the gun and got in my path, got in my way again. So I got to get him out of the way just to keep climbing that ladder.
I love that. So that leads to a really good next question, and that is, what is your 6-month plan, 1-year plan, 2-year plan for your MMA career? If you had to define it.
If I had to define it. So 6 months, I would love to have 3 or 4 more wins, and be healthy. The next year, I want to be in the UFC, and I feel like it's just right there. It's just scratching at the door. Yeah, that'd be a great plan. And then 5-year plan, that's hard, but obviously I want to not just do this for myself. I want to be able to grow our gym. So I want to make it to the UFC so then people can see we're doing things right, and then start, coaching the next lineup. Being the best fighter was always a goal, but now it's, being the best coach too. I have a bunch of, I can say kids now, way younger than I am, and I can see it. I can see the fire in their eyes, and I want to be part of their journey too. So, yeah.
I love that, man. That is fantastic. I am here in Lincoln. I was just on Kearney Combat Sports website before we jumped on this conversation, and that facility looks impressive. I might have to make the afternoon drive to Kearney and come see you guys in person.
Absolutely.
Sure.
We started in 2016. Richard, he had started in a Taekwondo gym. It's called Bennett's Taekwondo.
Mm-hmm.
And mats were horrible. We'd always get like mat burn, and eventually we moved into a place called Quintana Boxing, and we're just in the back part of it. So if you look at the page now, there's 4 squares.
Mm-hmm.
Richard just started with 1 square, and we're making the best out of it, and then we moved again, and it was like pretty close to the size that we have now, but we just didn't have as much mat space. And then now he has this place, and yeah, everything that he gets, he just pours it into the gym.
Love that.
Yeah, I respect the hell out of that man.
That's awesome.
He's cool.
So are you guys kind of affiliated as a fight team, so to speak, from Kearney Combat Sports?
So, I mean, it's just Kearney Combat Sports, but we have like standards and standards for people to join our fight team.
Mm-hmm.
But really, it's just so we have our more experience and people that want to take it serious and actually want to, pursue it as a career. We just separate the classes from, Kearney Combat Sports. We're all still Kearney Combat Sports. Yeah.
Yeah. It's one of those things where I've gone to quite a few Dynasty events now, and I'm kind of starting to delineate who's who, and kind of starting to see a lot of familiar faces. One of your teammates, Brielle, had an amazing showing at that last event. That was awesome. To be honest with you, if I had to call it, I know everybody was a little bit distracted by who was in the building that night.
Yeah.
Jamal Hill was in the building, so everybody knows.
Yeah,
But
that was cool.
Everybody was distracted a little bit by that, but that girls' fight was probably the best fight of the whole night, in my personal opinion.
That's what we kept saying too. And before Brielle sees this and gets mad, Brielle's actually my girlfriend, so
love that.
She's like, you just gotta let him call me your friend. Like, yeah, so, yeah.
That's amazing. That's even better. So now she's got to come on and do the show too.
Yeah, absolutely. She'd love that. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I was sitting there in my seat after the fight got done. She follows me on Instagram. She was the first person I messaged. I was like, that was one hell of a fight. Impressive showing.
Heck yeah. That's awesome.
So that's awesome, dude. That is fantastic. Yeah. So given everything that you've experienced, fighting career and not, this is my closing question that I ask every single guest that's on my show, no matter what walk of life they come from. What's your advice for making the world a better place tomorrow than what it is today? And I think it kind of goes to a point right now where we've had a lot of craziness happen in the last week sociopolitically. So maybe this question is a little bit more important now than ever.
Yeah. So for me, that's a pretty easy question to answer now. And that's just to follow Christ and put all your faith in God. I found Christ not too long ago, and it's completely changed my life again. So, yeah, God is good.
Love that, man. Love that. I respect people of faith. I have 2 rules on my podcast: that I don't talk politics and I don't talk religion, but I love everybody being genuinely themselves. And that's
awesome. Yeah.
That's what I feel is like makes the world a better place, is you just
absolutely
let people find the path that brings them the most love in their life and in their heart. And, you know,
absolutely.
That's awesome, dude.
It's a lot easier to love than to hate. So
for sure. Well, brother, I am excited. I'm planning on being there August 9th. Can't wait to run into you in the real world.
Yeah.
I'm glad we're friends now, man.
Yeah, absolutely. This has been awesome. I loved it.
Yeah. The world's a much better place with you in it, my friend.
I appreciate it. Likewise.